They say even the sky forgets to cry. But once a girl with a watering can climbed the rooftops and whispered to the clouds until they remembered. This is her story, and the story of the boy who followed her, of the friends who played music in the storm, and of the rain that finally learned how to smile. They say even the sky forgets to cry. But once a girl with a watering can climbed the rooftops and whispered to the clouds until they remembered. This is her story, and the story of the boy who followed her, of the friends who played music in the storm, and of the rain that finally learned how to smile. Every story we tell is a little window into our world. Some quiet, some strange, some blooming with laughter and longing. If you felt something today, would love for you to stay with us. You can support our stories on Ko-fi. Ko-fi.com/JesusPacampara21. Like, share, and subscribe if you like to hear more. We write from the heart, and with your help, we'll keep dreaming together. Even the sky forgets how to cry until someone reminds it with love. This is the short story where the rain learns to smile, for wheein, created by Pacampara. I am not just the biggest cloud, nor the brightest, but I remember. We always do. We remember the sadness you tried to hold back, the sighs pressed into your pillow, the tears that never fell. That's why we're made of, not just vapor or mist, but of unshed grief and fragile hope. There was a time long before umbrellas became armor, long before people stopped looking up, when the clouds grew too heavy, not with water, no, but with silence. We hovered there, afraid to fall. We thought we would break the world if we wept, but then she came. A girl with a watering can and a ribbon on her wrist. She didn't ask us to explain. She didn't try to fix us. She just spoke gently, a voice like soft rain on rooftops, and asked, "Why are you so sad?" And before we could answer, before even we knew what was stirring in our hearts, she misted the sky and taught us how to cry again. She had friends. One who joked like thunder but held a heartbeat, steady as stone. Another who sang in the quiet language of moonlight. And one boy who followed her across rooftops, just to remind her that even skies need ground. We remember them. Would you like to hear what happened next? Come closer. Let me tell you the story of the girl who carried the clouds and the rain that learned how to smile. Wheein stood at the edge of the rooftop, her feet bare, her eyes chasing the blue sky, her watering can held like a relic handed down from the clouds themselves. It wasn't the first time Jess had found her up here. When the world went dim, she always sought the roof, always whispered to the weather. But today, something felt different. Not the grey that pulled behind her, or the way the wind refused to lift her hair. There was a slowness to her shoulders, a hush in the pulse of the air. It was as if the sky had bent down to listen and forgotten how to rise again. He climbed without calling out to her, the fire escape creaking beneath him like an old piano key too often pressed. When he reached her side, he didn't ask why she was missing or misting the air again, or why her mouth hadn't curved its usual half smirk when he arrived. He just stood beside her in silence, the way roots stand beside a weathered tree, knowing some aches are spoken best in stillness. "They're too heavy," she finally said, lifting the watery can. "They're full, but they won't cry. I miss them, and they shimmer, but they never let go." Jess glanced upward. The clouds hovered like clenched fists, pregnant with something ancient and unnamed. "Then maybe they're afraid," he said. Maybe they forgot that falling isn't failure. Wheein looked at him, and he saw it. That wild, impossible tenderness that lived in her gaze. That softness she gave to things that didn't even know they were breaking. And what if I forgot to, she asked. He reached for her hand, fingers blushing, the ribbon tied around the can's handle. Then I'll fall with you every time. Her smile was a flicker, but it was there, like the moment before the first drop hits your face. She stepped back, turned, and with one gentle spray, misted the clouds overhead. The air caught its breath. They began to move across rooftops, her steps as light as a sigh, his as clumsy and stubborn as hope. She sprayed her silver mist and spoke in low tones, comforting the sky like a mother waking a child from bad dream. Jess kept up the best as he could. His only job is to stay close enough to catch her if she stumbled, to laugh at her jokes even when they came out of the blue like her clouds, and to remind her wordlessly, patiently, that he wasn't going anywhere. By the 8th rooftop, they paused to breathe. The city curled below them like a forgotten melody. Wheein raised her face again. They're still afraid, she whispered. Then let's go to them. A watering can shimmered. The sky pulled at them like a question waiting for an answer. And before Jess could make a stark remark about heights and wind resistance, they were rising upward. Past the telephone wires, past the rooftop gardens no one tended anymore, past birds startled mid-flight and airplanes that blinked like unsure stars. The air grew thinner, quieter, until even doubt had nothing left to say. That's when they saw it, a beam of sunlight, alone, trembling through the gray like a spotlight that missed its cue. I'm the last one, said the lonely sunbeam. Its voice was warm but tired, like someone who'd waited too long for someone to return. No one looks up anymore. Wheein reached out, misting the air around it. We're looking now, she said gently. We see you. The light lingered for a moment, curled around them like a hug, then stretched forward, beckoning them further into the sky. Then came the whirlwind, not the loud, screaming kind, but the tight, circling one, the kind that kept moving just to keep from feeling. It hissed at them, its voice 100 whispers rolled into one. You will fall, you will fail. You don't belong up here. You'll only drag the sadness back down with you. Jess was about to respond, but a familiar laugh cut through the spiral. Oh, shut up, byul said, floating in as if she'd simply taken the stairs. I've heard better anxiety at theater rehearsals. The whirlwind shrieked. Who are you to mock me? I'm the one who's been there, she smirked. You're not some mystical guardian of despair. You're just feelings trying too hard to rhyme. Wheein giggled despite herself, misting the storm gently. You don't have to spin too fast. You're allowed to rest. And the whirlwind ever so slightly slowed. Further on, they met the snowflake council. Countless flakes, all murmuring doubts as they hovered in place. I melt before I matter. I fall so far and no one sees me. I am too fragile to land. This time it was Youngsoon who stepped forward, her presence like warmth on a cold morning. But together you become silence, you become softness, you become winter. She touched a snowflake. It didn't melt, it shimmered. You're more than your end, she whispered. Wheein nodded. You're the lullaby between seasons, and the path cleared. At last, they reached the summit. The clouds gathered like an audience, unsure whether to weep or to applaud. And there, amid all the tension, that unshed sky, sorrow, Wheein took a breath. The watering can glowed, transformed, it became a sky harp. Jess found a cello, woven from cloud, threads and memory. Byul's umbrella flipped into a thunder drum. Yongsun raised a flute of wind and silver mist, and they played a melody for the skies, a ballad for burdens, a song for sadness that had nowhere else to go. Let it fall, let the sky forget control. Tears are seeds, and clouds are hearts learning how to lose their roles. And the clouds cried, not from pain, but from permission. Rain fell not with sorrow, but with sincerity. Down below, gardens leaned into the drops. Children stuck out their tongues. Streets steamed, hearts softened. Lovers reached for each other's hands. Even the gutters seemed to sigh in relief. They returned to the rooftop as the sun set behind the curtain of glistening gold. Byul set up a half-broken tent. Yongsun passed out cups of ginger tea that somehow tasted like lullabies. Jess roasted sweet potatoes over a makeshift grill while wheein lay back and traced the constellation with her fingers. Byul stretched and groaned. You know, I think we just emotionally counseled the entire atmosphere. Not bad for a Tuesday. Can we call ourselves cloud therapy, she added. Or the misfits, Jess said deadpan. Stop, Yongsun murmured, sipping her tea, eyes on wheein. Let them have this. Wheein rested her head on Jess's shoulder. Her smile wasn't forced now. It was the kind that only comes after rain. I thought if I broke, everyone would stop believing in me, she said softly. You don't need to hold it all, Jess whispered. Even the skies let go. She closed her eyes and said, I'm still learning. So are the clouds, Yongsun said, but you help them remember. Silence settled, not empty but full of the things they didn't have to say. The rain slowed, the moon rose, and somewhere above, the sky smiled, because someone remembered to tell it, even sorrow can bloom. In the time before time, when skies held their breath, a little cloud trembled above the world's crest. It carried the weight of thousands of tears, but no one had taught it to rain down its fears. It met a girl dancing with mist in her hands, who whispered to sorrow with feet on the land. She said, even silence can blossom with sound. Let go, little cloud, and water the ground. She climbed with her friends to the edge of the blue, a boy who believed, and two stars who knew. They played with the thunder and the flutes made of wind, and sang to the skies till the clouds learned to bend. The rain fell like stories once buried in skin. It softened the world and sang peace from within. The girl closed her eyes, the boy kissed her cheek, and the sky, once feared, began learning to speak. Now when the storms gather but hold themselves tight, the wind tells its tale in the hush before night. Of four rooftop dreamers who taught the rain to smile and carried the sky on their backs for a while. So if ever you're heavy and lost in the gray, remember even clouds find sunlight someday. This piece is dedicated to my dearest sunshine, Kim Yong-sun. Please show her your love and support on her channel, Solarcido. She's the heart behind so much of the light I share here. If you enjoy poems, short stories, and heartfelt journeys like this one, stay a while and see if any of my work resonates with you. I'd love for you to consider subscribing if you find a piece of your heart here. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what new story formats or poems you'd love to see. Your voice helps shape this growing storybook we're building here. Thank you for walking this world with me. Have a nice day.